Okay, it is 6 o'clock, and I'd like to welcome you to the City of Nampa Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, July 29th, 2025. Madam Clerk, let's go ahead and start with a roll call, please.
Garner.
Here.
Miller.
Here.
Daffer. Turner.
Here.
Kehoe. Here. Morgan.
Here.
Kirkman.
Here.
Selman.
Here.
We have 7 present.
Thank you. Report on council actions and communications. In just a second. I guess before he does that, I'm going to make an announcement. We're going to change our agenda just slightly. The item that is listed last is 3-4. We're going to go ahead and make that our first item this evening for a couple of reasons. So just so everybody's aware. Yeah.
Thank you, Christy.
Sorry about that. We're having technology issues
Always.
today. Thank you, Commissioners. Rodney Ashby, Planning and Zoning Director, for the record. And I'm going to try to speak into this because the last couple of meetings, we haven't heard it very well on the recording, so we'll be careful here. So we had several projects that were approved by City Council. The first one is a final plat for Adara number 1, and this one was for 34 single-family detached units, 19 single-family detached units in the RS4 zone. The first one was RS6, and then 41 single-family attached units in the RD zone with 1 commercial lot. And that was all located near the southeast corner of West Flamingo Avenue and Midway Road. And that was recommended by you, and then City Council did approve that. The next is a variance for setbacks, a 15-foot setback on the rear property line for an accessory structure. And this one was also approved. This was at 3707 South Edgewood near the northwest section of 12th Avenue and West Locust Lane. And this was for a patio cover in the Greenbrier Estates. The next one was a vacation and a variance, and this was a variance for the maximum lot size requirements. This was the northeast corner of Boar Way and Stone Star Road. Sorry. And vacation of easement and variance of setback and lot size maximum to permit approval of a property boundary adjustment. What had happened is a shed had been built right overlapping the property line on their neighbor's property.
The overhang?
No, the whole building.
The structure?
A fence had been built years and years ago and in the wrong location. So then they built the shed to be, what they thought was their property, and it overlapped onto somebody else's property, and it was right up against the right-of-way. We're not sure how the building permit was approved, but it was years ago, and so this was a variance to just clean up the property and then be able to sell the property, and they granted that vacation and variance. The next one was the adoption of the CIP for fire and engineering in the comprehensive plan. So that comp plan amendment that you heard, you had recommended approval, and City Council approved that. And then finally, the zoning map amendment from RD to RS6. That was the one where they had 2 different zones on the same property. They just wanted to make it all one zone. And so that one was at 1423 South Elder Street, and you recommended approval, and they did approve that. That's all I have.
Okay. Thank you, Rodney. I would entertain a motion to approve and adopt the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
And moved by Kehoe, second by Selman to adopt the consent agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Consent agenda passes. Okay, we'll go ahead and move into our public hearing testimony of the meeting. Just a few rules and things as we get started. Just so everybody's aware, this meeting is being recorded. So if you could keep your whispers in the crowd to a minimum. Those things are picked up pretty well on the recording, and if we need to listen to it later, sometimes it makes it inaudible. So keep your voices down as much as possible. When we get started, the applicant will come up first. We'd like you to give your name and address for the record, and then just tell us about what you're going to do. They will get 7 minutes to tell us about what they want to do, their project, and the staff will speak on what their findings are. They have unlimited time. Then we'll open up public testimony for anybody that would like to speak for, against, or undecided on that item. Each person will have 3 minutes to speak. Again, when you come up to the mic, we'd ask that everyone please give your name and address for the record. And then once your 3 minutes is up, we could potentially ask questions of you. And then once that time is done, you are finished speaking on that specific and particular item. So if you think of something after you sat down, ask your neighbor to come up and ask the question for you. After the public testimony portion is done, we'll ask the applicant to come back up, answer any questions that have been asked by the public, and give them time to refute and answer those questions. We'll then close public hearing, and we'll deliberate amongst ourselves, maybe ask staff some questions, and make a decision on each item. So with that, we're going to get started. Like I said, before we started, we're going to bump item 3-4 to the front for a few different reasons. So we'll get started with that one. It is a conditional use permit for a non-commercial kennel license in RS6 zoning district at 3004 Bannock Avenue for David D. Sabatino and Susan Minetti for Minetti Kennel. Is the applicant here?
Yes. Good evening. My name is David D. Sabatino. I'm here on behalf of my wife, Susan Minetti, who's ill. She wished she could have been here. I live at 3004 Bannock Avenue. I'm here to apply for what's called a conditional kennel license because we had a threat given to us by a neighbor who said that she was going to call animal control because we have 4 dogs. We didn't know that 4 dogs was a problem. So all of a sudden we went to the internet and we said, "Oh, great internet, please tell us." You know? So the city of Nampa requires that a conditional license be granted. Okay, what's that? You know, so we paid the money, we, filled out the applications and stuff like that. We didn't want 4 dogs. We only wanted 2. But in both the occasions where the 3rd and 4th dog came along, we were pressed into a situation where if we didn't accept this dog, it was going to go and be euthanized. My wife and I are privileged to stay at home with our daughter so we can take care of the dogs. We're on them like white on rice if they start to bark, and I know there's issues with, there's 4 dogs, a squirrel goes across the thing, come on. So doesn't matter what happens, my wife's out there, hey, come on back inside. So we take care of those dogs. There's been no issues with, they've not bitten anybody, they've not harassed anybody. Nobody knew that we had 4 dogs. How this came about was we have a pit bull. I never wanted a pit bull. I never thought I would have a pit bull, but she turned out to be the sweetest thing ever. One day she's walking down her side, our dog walker is walking her down. There's a lady across the street, and the lady sees the dog. The first time my wife had interacted with this lady, she came up to her and said, "I don't approve that you have a pit bull." Who says that to somebody? Like, what business is it of yours what kind of dog we get, you know? And so she was fit to be tied. She saw the dog coming across. Again, there's a whole road in between the two of them. The dog didn't go. No, of course, our dog walker kept walking. The lady then phoned a neighbor and made this threat. I'm going to turn you into animal control. So this is why we're here, you know, to say, you know, can we keep these dogs? This is a defense mechanism. It's not an offense mechanism. There's been a lot of talk. Our HOA director started whipping up foment about the fact that we wanted to gather emus and llamas and pigs, and, and we're looking to, you know, do Noah's Ark. Now, my wife emailed him and was very nice and said, look, that's not the case. I wanted to email him and say, no, God has told us to build an ark and look out, right? Because that's the way I am. But that wasn't the case. I mean, that's... So we're just trying to keep our dogs, and that's all this is. So the only thing that I think we're open to is they're 4 dogs, so it can be a little bit noisy. But we don't just leave them out there, you know. We bring them in. Anything else, I can't imagine what the objection would be. So that's why we're here. That's all I have to say. So thank you.
Thank you. Rodney?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, Rodney Ashby, Planning and Zoning Director. As has been suggested, this is a request for a conditional use permit. I always like to clarify something here. A kennel license is a little bit different than a conditional use permit. You have to first get the conditional use permit for the land use, and then the kennel license is issued after that, after an application. So that's on a condition of approval that I'd recommend if you approve this conditional use permit. So this is the location. You can see just south of Greenhurst on Southside Boulevard. And the applicant is arguing that, as they have stated, that they are just trying to take care of dogs that were either abandoned or that were not being cared for appropriately. So the comprehensive plan shows this as a medium density. Current zoning is RS6. The land uses are completely surrounding it are in the same subdivision, Lonesome Dove subdivision, all RS6 zoning, and public utilities are already being provided to the property. This is a street view of the property. The location in our land use table in 10.3.2 that requires a conditional use permit. And then the description of, well, the purpose of a conditional use permit. Again, these are just a little more sensitive projects that require a little more scrutiny and then public input to consider whether or not to approve it. And frankly, to see if there's mitigation measures that can be done to approve it. These are the 4 criteria that are listed in code in order to approve the conditional use permit. And you've seen those before, but just as a reminder to the public, these are what guide whether we can approve or deny a project. So I need to clarify a few things. On agency comments, we received comments, but no concerns, no issues were addressed at all. Including animal control. However, the public comments, we didn't get anything for the staff report, 0 in our packet. We've since seen at this meeting a couple of emails that were sent to us that were not, that we didn't receive. So we've talked with our IT department to try to track down why those didn't go through. They tried to send them again. We still didn't get them. So something is happening there. So those comments that will either be stated in person or will be read at the request of one of the participants here. And I would just recommend to the commission that we allow the second email to be read as a separate input public testimony because we didn't receive it and it was sent. And I clarified that the email address was correct and everything. So, but we did get 3 late comments. That should be a number 3 instead of a bullet point right there. But each of these late comments were in support, essentially saying that the dogs are quiet. They didn't even know that they had 4 dogs until this notice was sent. They said that they support the CUP. No incidents or complaints have been received. And the dogs are healthy, happy, and well-behaved and deeply loved. So those were the comments that we did receive that were after the staff report was sent to you. So here are the proposed findings. I found that the comprehensive plan, because it's a land use for the primary structure is, or the primary land use is residential. So the comprehensive plan supports that. It doesn't really apply to the CUP. The proposed non-commercial kennel is to allow 4 dogs for the residents of the home, maintaining residential as the primary use. And then I just acknowledged that animals can be noisy, they can smell, they can cause destruction, in some cases. But I had received no indication of that in this case. And maintenance of the property will continue to be enforced according to Namappasi Code for nuisances, residential appearance, and upkeep, as well as the care of the dogs through our animal control officers. Utilities are provided. We already talked about that. I indicated here that the only written public comments the City of Nampa Planning and Zoning Department has received are 3 comments in support of the request, stating the dogs behave, they are quiet, and express respect for owners. So I added this. This is a little bit different than in your staff report because we got those late comments. Again, this will need to be, I'll need to add anything more that we hear tonight. Nampa Code Compliance Office indicated that the property has no code violations for maintenance of the property, and the property appears to be well maintained. So my conclusion that I recommended was just essentially that weighing all those facts, even though an animal can, multiple animals can cause noise and potential destruction, it just, based on the facts that I saw, I didn't see that applied here. The animals were well cared for, the property is well cared for. We've had no complaints from code compliance. So no complaints from the animal control. So it didn't feel like anybody was expressing any concerns about the animals at all. And the animals are already there. Those 4 dogs are already there. And I think that's pretty much it. Here are the proposed conditions of approval. And on this one here, the conditional use permit shall apply only for the applicant and only to the 4 dogs listed in the applicant's narrative. So I'm going to have them describe Callie, that they gave the name of, and the 4th animal. When I send their decision letter, I'll include that specific dog. This would not apply to just having 4 dogs forever. And then I think that's it. All codes are in place, and they'll still need to follow all the other codes. So here are a couple of potential motions for your consideration, and I would stand for questions if you have any.
Questions? No? Okay, thank you, Rodney. Okay, Madam Clerk, do we have a sign-up sheet?
Yes, we do. We have a Stephen Mortensen.
This is a first experience for me, so if I blunder into something I shouldn't, please stop me fast. When this subdivision, Lonesome Dove, was...
Excuse me, it's first name and
Stephen
address.
Mortensen, address is 2708 Klamath Lane, Nampa, 83686. When the subdivision opened up 27 years ago, it was outside of the city's jurisdiction. It was county. And so then they thought through the covenants, conditions, and restrictions a little bit more. And they made sure there was a clause in there that said that the homeowners would only be allowed dogs or cats as pets, no more than 2 dogs, no more than 2 cats. In June, I believe it was, of 2022, we had neighbors come forward, multiple neighbors within the development, asking if they could have chickens. And we talked about it, and we decided that if they would follow the city guidelines, so we didn't have roosters waking us up at 4 in the morning, that would be fine. And our homeowners were polled by board members and by officers of the Homeowners Association, and they agreed. That was pulled out of the CCNRs, and we thought, okay, we're going to live with the city ordinance of 2 dogs. Now, today, members of that board are split on this one. We love dogs. We also are concerned about the precedence that this takes. The precedence for a non-commercial kennel, there might be a lot of good reasons behind it. But envision my family situation. We have 2 dogs already. My mother-in-law is 85 years old. She loves her dogs. Well, when she passes away and she says, Steve and Diane, please take care of my dogs. Well, I could be here in front of you. The economic downturn occurs, and my daughter and her family and their starter home in Caldwell could be moving home to live with Dad and Mom, and they have 1 dog, thank goodness. And all of a sudden, I'm here saying I need a conditional use permit for a 5-dog non-commercial kennel. Well, maybe that's okay because I'm not on the same street. But what happens if next door that happens? What happens if it's 2 doors down, 3 doors down? What are all the thoughts about how many dogs can be in an area? And how can you tell one set of good dog parents with a well-maintained home, it's okay for them, but you can't tell another set of good dog parents with a well-maintained home that it's not appropriate for them? I'm pleased to hear that you've built a sunset inn, that if this is approved, it's only approved for those 4 dogs, and if 1 dog passes away or moves on to another home, it doesn't open it up for another dog to come in. I really do appreciate that, but I would ask you to think about the precedents and the impact to homeowners in that neighborhood.
Chair,
Yep,
time.
yep, time's up.
Thank you. And if I did anything wrong, please tell me even after the meeting.
Okay, next.
We have Laura Creech.
My name is Laura Creech. I live at 3017 Bannock. I'm just kitty corner across from these people who are asking for the kennel license. I moved into this subdivision so that we could have control and we wouldn't have so many pets or animals or menagerie in there. And like Steve was saying, yeah, now we have chickens. I wasn't in favor of that, but so it goes. I'm concerned about the kennel license. On there, it does not say how many dogs that you can have. I'm afraid that if you issue the kennel license to them, that 4 will grow to more than 4. And I'm concerned about that. I had 1 dog, and a few years back, they came in my backyard and took my dog. My dog was like 14. It was getting ready to die. It had been a good dog. It had been protective for me. I was taking care of it. It has seizures occasionally. It was being able to get up, get water, drink, relieve itself out in the lawn, but not moving much far from the backyard. And my gates are latches. And when I went out to check on my dog and it was missing, both gates were latched shut, so somebody had to come in and take that dog. I have healers, and they're territorial, and they stay on the lawn in my property. They don't leave, and that dog was gone. And they have my dog, and even though they found out it belonged to me, it took me over 12 hours to get it back. So when they say that they got one of these dogs from running in the neighborhood, it makes me question that. It makes me question if we give them the kennel license, that that number won't grow to a larger number, because I know what happened to me personally with my animal. And I was very unhappy, and it was very frustrating trying to get my pet back. And they told me, well, that they could rehome it or they would take care of it. It was my dog. My dog had protected me for 14 years. I'm going to take care of it till it's time for it to go. I'm not going to let somebody else take care of that. So I am against it. I'm sorry, but I'm against it. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Yes.
Question.
Yep.
Ms. Creech?
Ms. Creech,
question for
got a
you.
question for you, quick question.
Oh, sorry.
Were you here a few minutes ago when the director talked about the 4 dogs?
I saw that, but that's just a condition. I just wanted to point out to you that if you don't take that condition into effect, I don't know how you guys normally do that. So if you guys would say, oh, we're not doing that,
The conditions say that there's 4 dogs allowed. We even name the dog, which is very unusual. So if they wanted to get another dog, or if they wanted to replace a dog, it's forbidden by city code now. So you shouldn't have-
if you guys approve it as the approval part says. And that's the part I'm concerned about, is that you will alter that. So, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I don't know. That's fine, thank you. You answered the question.
Thank you.
I do have an email that was sent from our HOA president that I guess they did not receive. Can I read that real
Yes,
quick?
absolutely.
Okay, it says, "Hello, I am Dale Canoy from the Lonesome Dove subdivision. I'm writing about my concern about the kennel license for 3004 Bannock Avenue that you plan to discuss